In this video, we will be tasting and talking about batch number 70 of the Ecocha Tea Club, Lishan High Mountain Oolong Tea, second flush 2021. We're here today tasting two consecutive harvests of our Lishan High Mountain Oolong Tea, 2021. I have spring on my left and the second flush, summer, on my right. There are only 3 harvests of this area of tea. So some people call it fall. It's between the spring and the winter harvest. And this happened in late July. So today, this is literally the first time I'm getting to try spring and summer together. I've been wanting to do this for weeks. I was really pleasantly surprised with the summer harvest. I didn't get to go to the factory. It came down the mountain. I got to taste 3 samples, 3 different days of harvest. And this one was definitely distinctly better, in my opinion, than the other 2 days. Really nice. And I've purposely held off from drinking it on a regular basis until this time when we're offering it and doing what I'm doing now, which is comparing. So I brewed 9 grams of tea leaves in these 150 milliliter tea judging cups. First for 90 seconds. And then second brew 1 minute and third brew 1 minute again. Both are quite nice, very soft. This is a little more green foresty. And as we can see in the visuals of the brewed tea, the spring tea is noticeably more oxidized. It's a darker golden color, a little more thick kind of viscosity to it. The summer tea is more of a classic Lishan, very light, pale golden, yellow, more limpid and transparent. So the leaves were processed a little less oxidized, but fully dried to give it that nice, real transparent look that we can see in the summer brews. Okay, can't wait any longer. Let's do this. I'm going to start with brew 1 of spring. Very substantial, really good. My first second of perception, I thought winter tea. And that reminds me, brings back the whole seasonal conditions, so to speak. We were in a year-long drought that went through the spring growing season. This area did a little bit better, it's higher up, but there wasn't really enough rainfall at all. For these leaves to grow, the new growth to grow properly. And they were picked, looked visually small, but they had been on the tree for longer than usual. So they were kind of stunted in their growth due to the lack of precipitation. And it has a winter character to me, which means that it's a little more dense, a little more forest green, less floral, more of a thick green flavor. Definitely high elevation personality though. High elevation meaning well up around 2,000 meters, above 1,800, let's say. Much lighter in appearance, the summer tea. Nice soft fragrance coming off the spoon. It's definitely closer to Lishan, classic Lishan. It's soft, floral, not very green. The summer is definitely lighter, more delicate in composition. The spring is thick and substantial, but it's a dark, not quite a dark green leafy, but just this vegetal character to it. Very nice, soft, delicate. A little bit of herbal in there, some floral, but subtle floral like dried flowers, not really in-your-face perfumey. Really soothing, really nice. It's a delicious and delicate brew, the summer tea. Just as I remembered it when I chose it, I was like, oh, Okay, we got it. And it makes sense. I'm getting goosebumps at recollecting all this. The summer growth was more like a spring. The seasonal conditions the growing season was a lot more like spring. I want to get through these brews, so I'll go to the second spring. Creamier, more akin to what we offer typically in our Shan High Mountain tea, a more oxidized high mountain tea. It's creamy and with vegetal qualities. It's fragrant. There's a lot of aroma going through my sinuses, but it's not really floral. I think it's been brought down. The leaves were a little bit older, although they weren't fully matured given the growing season. It's just like winter tea. It took a long time to grow, and it was on the plant a while, and there wasn't a lot of water. More of the same, very similar, easily as substantial. I think summer feels a little bit more substantial in the second brew. More full flavored, more substance. For the people, we had one customer, a good customer, who I think he exclusively buys Lishan, and he commented on the spring batch, and he's like, this is really different from last winter. And I was like, I totally agree. And I said, I can promise you, I went to the factory, it's the same farm, I saw it being picked, I saw who was making it, it's the same farmer and his crew of tea makers. It's just a different season, and that's what happens. This is a farm produce. And he readily agreed, and he said, I'll enjoy it for what it is. It's not what I'm used to, and I look forward to the next season, which is now. So getting into the choice for the tea club, as a general theme, I look for teas that are not normally available on the market. They have a special quality to them for all kinds of reasons. Something different, something more close to unique. But on the other hand, or in a larger perspective, we are also representing Taiwan's specialty teas. And that's what we exclusively do with our tea club in a more boutique kind of fashion. And this is, I'm pretty sure this is the first time that we are offering Lishan High Mountain tea. Lishan is the most famous name for high mountain oolongs in Taiwan. It's what it's what Taiwan is most famous for, really. Even though there's a lot of types of tea to be enjoyed, this is the type of tea that really has put Taiwan on the national and international map, so to speak, for high-end teas. So I felt like it was time to represent that fact, and to share one of the teas that is most appreciated in Taiwan with our tea club members. And it just, when I tasted this second flush, that was the decisive factor. I was like, okay, we have an opportunity here. I think it's a good representative of Lishan. When, season to season, it's been quite varying in recent years, basically due to weather patterns and the difference in weather patterns than it used to be 10 or 20 years ago. So I was inspired to choose this batch for the tea club and offer it. So there we have it, a high mountain oolong from Taiwan's highest elevation tea growing region, the Lishan, which means pear mountain, which is also just next door to Daiyuling. Daiyuling is on the same road, it's really the same ridge. Our farm in recent years is on the western side, a little bit further lower, so it goes up to, I think the highest farms are at 2,800. We are at 2,000 meters. But the climate there, elevation is definitely not everything. There was a long marketing trend in Taiwan 20 or 30 years ago. The higher the better. It's just not true. I mean, it really comes down to the soil and the farming methods, and especially the people who are making and processing the leaves. And this farm, we feel, is ideal. It's overlooking one of the largest reservoir watersheds for the closest metropolis, Taichung. And you can see the reservoir from the farm. And that allows for this daily fog to come up and humidify the area and give the plants what they like, which is diurnal temperature shifts. So higher temperatures in the day, lower temperatures later in the afternoon when the fog comes in, and then continuing to decrease through the night. I'll just, since I brewed it, I just couldn't bring myself to only brew 9 grams of this high quality tea twice. So we have 3 brews. Again, the second brew is 1 minute. The third brew is also 1 minute. Spring, thick, substantial mouthfeel. Not your typical Lishan. And that faithful customer was very accurate in his assessment, and that just makes it more enjoyable to be able to offer what I think he is normally expecting with this summer batch. So it really is quite different. I mean, you can see the visual difference, but the flavor profile, I guessed correctly, or I recalled correctly in my assessment of how the spring tasted compared to the summer. And this moment is the moment of truth and proof of that fact. The dried leaves, the spring harvest is noticeably smaller. It has a nice appearance. It's dark green. There's no yellowing really. So they weren't overly aged, but they were slightly underdeveloped, you might say. They just didn't mature fully on the plant, despite the longer time that they had. And summer looks like a classic second flush. It's a little bit bigger. There's a little bit more color variation. No real yellowing though. It's still within the green spectrum, so to speak. Some darker and lighter green. And not a huge amount of stem material. This is malcha, so it hasn't been destemmed, it hasn't been roasted at all, straight out of the factory. So yeah, the dried leaves kind of indicate what we've experienced with the brewed teas also. I'm going to do a quick assessment of the brewed leaf. Very fresh. Oh, so satisfying, that aroma. Again, this is more like a cooked vegetable smell rather than a green leafy baby greens kind of combined with floral for the summer. Yeah, you can see that classically, summer second flush grows faster and ends up being bigger basically, but you can see the substantial thickness to the stems here, and that indicates a higher elevation growth. Nothing huge. It wasn't like, they weren't picking the new growth that was, 20 centimeters long. It was more like 10 plus new shoots coming off the top of the plants. This looks, I experience it so much like a winter crop. The leaves, the stems are thinner, they're just underdeveloped. Winter here, the growing season is typically much drier, and the leaves just don't grow very fully. It's harder for the plant to produce the leaves given the weather conditions. Okay, so there we have it. Batch 70 for the Ecochateas Club. Lishan High Mountain Oolong, second flush 2021, harvested in July of this year. We think it's a nice classic high elevation oolong, the way they make it with a minimal oxidation, and the original material, as they say in Taiwan, shines through with its fresh, floral, and very just abundant aromatic profile. Please check it out. Leave your comments under this video or on our blog posts. We really love to hear what you experience about the teas, and that way all of our members can share with each other our experiences. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you next month.